President John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated on Tuesday, November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. And in the years since that fateful day, there have been a multitude of investigations, documentaries, and opinions surrounding what actually happened and why it happened. The main media story that was fed to us is that a lone gunman named Lee Harvey Oswald used an out-of-date, second-rate Italian bolt-action rifle to fire 3 accurate shots at a distance of over 300 feet in less than 6 seconds. This account, known as the Warren Report, that proclaimed this to be the one and only possible scenario, has since been debunked by so many different factions it's not even worth delving into in this aspect at all. You have the mob connection angle and the Cuba CIA angle that has also been proposed by many who have conducted investigations surrounding the assassination. The cast of oddball characters involved is so outlandish and obscure, it would put any Hollywood casting director in distress trying to fill these roles for some feature film. But regardless of which scenario one may choose to expect as the de facto version of events, the one that, to me, seems to have been overlooked is the connection between President Kennedy and the Federal Reserve. Whether you want to train Cuban exiles to overthrow the Castro regime to rid the Western world of a communist country, or take Castro out so you can get your gambling casinos back up and running in Havana, or retaliate against the commander-in-chief who is thwarting your efforts to bring an American agenda into play in some third world country, the only way you can do any of this is if you have the money to fund it. Cuban exiles may well have a strong, fervent passion to bring their country back into the hands of the populace and not some communist dictator. But while they're all scheming to do this and get the weapons needed and all the ammo those weapons need, they have to eat, and they have to have some place to hang their hat while they're getting all of this put into place. All of this takes money of some sort. Where does this money come from? Or, if you're the ex-head of the CIA, and you're pissed off and disgruntled because this young upstart from Boston has sent you packing from your post at the CIA because you flagrantly disregarded international law and conducted all sorts of operations that were not only illegal, but just downright wrong. In order for you to assemble an undercover hit team and have them travel in clandestine manner so that no one will be noticed by the general public, you have to have funding of some kind to pay all these people and gather all the necessary supplies required for such an operation. Again, where does this money come from? It comes from the Federal Reserve, because that organization is the one responsible for creating all the money that is used to conduct business and to live daily lives within the United States and in many areas of the world. The U.S. dollar. The United States government and all its agencies and the departments run on it. The local gas station on the corner uses it to conduct all the daily transactions. The housewife buying groceries for the family uses it every day. It's the financial engine that runs the train that is the United States. And President Kennedy wanted to get rid of it and go back to the constitutionally mandated policy of the government coining their own money. There are a lot of very powerful people who will never allow this to take place, and it is certainly not a stretch of the imagination to think that they would be willing to kill to ensure their hold on the monetary system stays in place. President Kennedy's father, Joseph Kennedy, was a man who knew his way around the process of making a shady buck here and there. He was a very successful Wall Street broker and made a ton of money doing insider trading before it was deemed illegal, and it was he who was put in place to create policies and laws to make that sort of conduct illegal. He was a known bootlegger, and during the Prohibition years in America, having secured the distribution of all the Scotch and Irish whiskey coming into this country prior to the 18th Amendment going into effect, he was completely set up to make a bundle of money. And he did. He was the ambassador to the court of St. James, the British government, so he was more than aware of the fact that the monetary system in both America and England, and indeed the world, was controlled by the monetary entities within the City of London. And those entities are controlled by the Rothschild family, as is the Federal Reserve here in America. At the time of his death, President Kennedy had in place plans to dismantle this Federal Reserve system of credit-based monetary control, and he was, in my opinion, killed because of that. He was well aware of the power and influence they had over the military and all the corporate support infrastructure that entails. The previous president, Dwight Eisenhower, on his departure from office, gave a speech to the American people extolling as much, where he called out the military-industrial complex as a menace to the prosperity of our nation.
We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
The monetary control of governments, and wars in particular, is nothing new for the Rothschild organization. They have involved themselves in wars since their inception in the 1600s. They financed the Napoleonic Wars, and loaned funds to both sides to ensure the financial victory no matter who won the conflict. They instigated and financed the British in the War of 1812 when the United States Congress refused to renew their charter on the Second National Banking Cartel here in America. They financed the French in their Indochina wars that led to their eventual departure from the colonies in the Asia-Pacific region, which led to America becoming involved in that entire fiasco in both Korea and Vietnam. These are all facts that John Kennedy was more than aware of, and he detested the way a very small group of manipulative people were able to control the governance of nations, and he was hell-bent on cutting the umbilical cord that fed the beast by returning America to a gold standard-based monetary system. Representatives associated with these entities took aim on that sunny November day in Dallas and blew away the one person who was going to send them packing for good. Once President Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in as president, any and all talk about doing away with the Federal Reserve just died on the vine, and his successor, Richard Nixon, finished the financial coup d'etat by taking America off the gold standard altogether in 1971.